The Emperor's medical rehabilitation laboratory occupied the crown of Coruscant's tallest building. A room of modest size, the laboratory's antechamber closely resembled his former chambers in the Senate office building and featured a semicircle of padded couch, 3 swivel chairs with shell-shaped backs, and a trio of squat holoprojectors shaped like truncated cones. Palpatine sat in the center chair, his hands on his knees, the lights of Coruscant blazing behind him through a long arc of fixed windows. The cowl of his heavy robe was lowered, and the blinking telltales of an array of devices and control panels lit his deeply creased face, the face he kept concealed from his advisors and senatorial guests. For here, he was not simply Emperor Palpatine. He was Darth Sidious, Dark Lord of the Sith. On the far side of thick panels of transparent steel that separated the antechamber from a rib-walled operating theater, Vader sat on the edge of the surgical table on which he had been recalled to life and transformed. His flaring black helmet had been lifted from his head by servos that extended from the laboratory ceiling, revealing the pasty complexion of his synth-flesh face and the raised wounds on his head that might never fully heal. The medical droids, responsible for repairing what had remained of Vader's amputated limbs and incinerated body, some of which had observed and participated in the cyborg transformation of General Grievous on Geonosis a decade earlier, had been reduced to scrap by a scream that had torn from Vader's scorched throat on his learning of his wife's death. Now, a 2-1B droid, responding to Vader's voiced instruction, was tending to an injury to Vader's left arm prosthesis, the cause of which he had yet to explain. "The last time you were in this facility, you were in no condition to supervise your own convalescence, Lord Vader," Sidious said, his words transmitted to the pressurized laboratory by the antechamber's sensitive enunciators. "And I will remain ward of myself from this point forward," Vader said through the intercom system. "Ward of yourself," Sidious repeated in an exacting tone. "When it comes to overseeing modifications of this shell, Master," Vader clarified. "Ah, as it should be." The humaniform 2-1B was in the midst of executing Vader's instructions when sparks geysered from Vader's left forearm, and blue electricity began to gamble across his chest. With an infuriated growl, Vader lifted the injured arm, hurling the med droid halfway across the laboratory. "Useless machine!" he shouted. "Useless! Useless!" Sidious watched his apprentice with rising concern. "What is troubling you, my son? I'm aware of the suit's limitations, and of the exasperation you must be experiencing. But anger is wasted on the droid. You must reserve your rage for times when you can profit from it." He appraised Vader again. "I think I begin to understand the cause of your frustration. Your rage owes little to the suit or the droid's ineptitude. Something disturbing occurred on Mercana, some occurrence you have elected to keep from me. For your good or mine, I wonder?" Vader took a long moment to reply. "Master, I found the 3 Jedi who escaped Order 66. What of it? The damage to my arm was done by one of them, though she is now dead, by my blade. And the other 2, they eluded me." Vader lifted his scarred face to regard Sidious. "But they wouldn't have if this suit didn't restrict me to the point of immobility. If the Star Destroyer you placed at my command was properly equipped. If Sinar had completed work on the starfighter I designed." Sidious waited until Vader was finished, then stood up and walked within a meter of the room's transparent panels. "So, my young apprentice, 2 Jedi slip through your grasp, and you scatter the blame like leaves blown about by a storm." "Master, if you had been there—" "Keep still," Sidious interrupted, "before you damage yourself all the more." He gave Vader a moment to compose himself. "First, let me reiterate that the Jedi mean nothing to us. In having survived, Yoda and Obi-Wan aren't exceptions to the rule. I'm certain that dozens of Jedi escaped with their lives, and in due time, you will have the pleasure of killing many of them. But of greater import is the fact that their order has been crushed. Finished, Lord Vader. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, Master,
Vader muttered. In burying their heads in the sands and snows of remote worlds, the surviving Jedi humble themselves before the Sith. So let them atone for 1,000 years of arrogance and self-absorption.